Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa
Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo
bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone.
morning, Monday.
I'll first share the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Bhante. The sutta, right?
It's the Udāna Gatha. Then I'll also share the. I think it's better to share this. The lecture notes. Okay, I think you can see the lecture notes last time we gave. So if I start from the, as Mr. Robin explained, we decided to divide the sentence into 5 groups. 5 means that we have to consider about the 5 nouns, 5 words: verb, gerund, infinitive, participle, and the special noun. So which is in the nominative case.
Then could you make this a bigger size? It is so small.
So this with these words, what happen is the sentence become divided into a few parts. So each part may contain a object, instrument, may contain a object, instrumental, dative, genitive cases. So then we can separately deal with the separate parts. That's the reason why we are dividing it into. We are considering these words. Give example, Purusote Tratena Gamang Ganitva Battam Bunjati. So with the word Gantva, the sentence become twofold, 2 parts. Puruso Ratena Gamang and Puruso Battam Bunjati. So Gamang Gantva is one part. Ratena Gamang Gantva, he having gone age with a vehicle, by a vehicle. Then the man eats rice. So the purpose of this noting down is to divide the sentence into separate parts. Then we also mentioned some grammatical rules. The time can be written in locative, accusative, and instrumental cases. Then continuous action throughout the time or an area is accusative case. Adverb can be written accusative or instrumental. And with the word achaya, achayena, right? With the word achayena, then normally the genitive case is used. So I'll go to the next part of the translation. Today I'm thinking of asking students to translate the next suttas. Before that, we'll finish the part which was left. So we finished the first paragraph. The second paragraph starts, iti imasming sati idang hoti, imasutpada idang upajati. So iti normally we translate thus. So it's explaining something. Imasming sati idang hoti, imasuppada idang upajati. So this term, imasming sati idang hoti. So here we translate, normally it can be translated as a gerund. Imasming sati.
Sorry, Bhante.
Oh, sorry, not a gerund, sorry. How do you call absolute, right? Imasming sati.
Sorry, Bhante. Are you reading the sutta? So could you please go back to the sutta?
Sorry. I couldn't share the screen. Sorry. Sorry for that. Sutta, I think this one, right? Do you see the sutta now?
Yes, Bhante.
Right. Sorry. So we'll translate the sutta. Imasming iti imasming sati idang hoti, imasupada idang upajati. So normally this imasming sati idang hoti, this is translated normally as the absolute. Absolute means, first I'll explain a bit about the absolute. When there are two actions happening, and one action is used to explain the other action. When two actions are happening, if one action is used to explain another action, the first action which was used as a means to explain the second action is called the absolute. We normally use the absolute. So absolute can be written in many cases. Normally, it is written in locative case. Sometimes it's written in genitive case. Sometimes it's written in genitive case, locative case, genitive case. In some rare occasions, it's used in the accusative case. Very rare occasions, it's used in the accusative case. Sometimes it can be used as a nominative case when both the actions are done by the same person. We'll come to that point in detail. I'm just giving a brief explanation on this. Then in very rare cases, there are usages of ablative case, which is found in the Parinibbana Sutta. So these are the normally 5 cases that are used with ablative, used with absolute: locative, genitive, accusative, nominative, and ablative. In this case, ablative is very, very rare. Accusative is also quite rare. Locative, genitive, and nominative are very common. Very common. So the meaning means, absolute means when there are 2 actions happening and one action is being used to explain the other action. So one action is used to be an action. For example, someone says, while the Buddha was walking, Devas sang songs. They made songs. So the main verb is the Deva singing. So this singing was denoted, this singing was explained. When did it happen? While the Buddha was walking. So Buddha's action of walking explained when did the Deva singing occur, Deva singing happen. So the first action is explaining the other action. So we normally call this Bhava Lakkana in Pāli. So the first action should be written in locative, genitive, nominative, very rarely in accusative, and in ablative. So this is called the absolute meaning. So normally when we say imasmin sati idang hoti, when this is there, it exists. For example, imasmin sati idang hoti. So this word sati is something very special. This sati doesn't mean the mindfulness. If someone is, students have done present participles, we get a word called sant. Sant. Sant means it comes from the root us plus ant. So what happens is this R will be dropped. This R will be dropped. Then it ends at sant. This means now us is to exist, to be. The meaning of us is to be. So ant normally gives the meaning of ing, like its existing meaning. Roughly we can say it gives the meaning of ing. So to be is to exist, ing is continuous. So the meaning of sant is normally existing or being. Right? So being. So this is called present participle. So this sant, if you go into the vocabulary declinations, we find santo, santa. So likewise, it can be declined according to the gender and according to the number, according to the case ending. So it has different forms, like purisa, puriso, purisa, purisam, purise. Likewise, sant have its own declination. So in this declination, there is a special word for the locative singular. Locative singular, we have a word, sant becomes, sant changes into sati. Right, sati. So this is locative meaning, sati. So this sati is not the mindfulness. Mindfulness sati comes from, it's a different word formation. It comes from the word root sar. This has come from the root as. So this word will occur many times in suttas. It's very common in suttas. So when you have the word sati, you have to be careful whether to understand this is mindfulness or the locative case of sant. right? Locative case of sant. So if I go back to the sutta again, yeah, sutta, imasming sati idang hoti. So you can see imasming of santa. So both are written in locative case. So why is that? This is because of the absolute form. Absolute. It means imasming sati idang hoti. Idang hoti means this exists. Another reality exists. When? How? When there is another reality. It means, for example, we say because of avidya, we have sankhara. Because of sankhara, we have vijnana. So likewise, the first clause, imasming sati explains about another reality. Idang hoti explains about another reality. So for example, sankhara happens when avidya is existing. So normally we translate this as an absolute case, but if you go into the commentary, they have explained this imasming sati not in the absolute meaning, in the meaning of cause. They explain it as the causal meaning. It like when, because of this happens. That is how traditionally they would explain. It's similar to imassa uppada idang upajjati. So if you go to the next phrase, you can find imassa uppada idang upajjati. Upajjati is arising. It arises, it exists. This upada has many meanings. Then idang is this exists. So imassa uppada, this word imassa uppada should be divided imassa plus upada, right? Upada. Otherwise, it will be imassupada. It's a one word. This is actually a sandhi, euphonic combination. Imassa plus upada. A is dropped. So this here we get upada is the ablative. Upada is arising. Arising. It has the meaning of existing. It has the meaning of not being eradicated. According to the reality we are talking, this upada has different meanings. Like this is a Dhamma point. Like when you go into Anusaya, upada means the state of not being eradicated, the latent defilements. If it is, we are talking about the kamma, it is the state of having support of the defilement. So likewise, this upada, we translate as arising in generally, but keep in mind that it has different meanings according to the reality it refers. So imassa means here genitive case. So imassa upada, because of the, we will translate normally, because of the arising of this. Arising, upada is arising of this. Because, the meaning because, why we use the meaning because it's due to the ablative case. So last time I gave you a brief explanation before stopping the class that there are few meanings, like few cases. I'll give it as a note now. Now, when we want to say the cause, right? This is another explanation. Cause. Cause can be written in ablative. Cause can be written in instrumental. Cause can be written accusative. And sometimes cause can be written in locative. These are the 5 meanings of cause. Four meanings, four cases that can be used in cause. Because of, you can translate it because of. Because of if something happens because of something, that is called the meaning of cause. So previously I mentioned about something called absolute. Right? I'll go into detail about this and I will be providing a note on this in one of the future vocabulary explanations. Before that, just to keep in touch with you, absolute can be written in locative, in genitive, in nominative, very rarely in accusative. And in one occasion, we can see in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta in ablative. Not in one occasion, actually it has occurred in a few places. So these are the 5 usages of absolute. Absolute means when you are using another verb another action, not a verb, actually it's better to say an action to denote another action. When you use one action to denote another action, we use the absolute. Cause means the reason for another action to happen, for a reason for something to exist. This is called the cause. Cause can be written in 4 cases: ablative, instrumental, accusative, locative. Right? So these two, out of these two, I'll be focusing on the cause here today. Right? In this sentence, we'll be talking about the cause. So normally, why did I start with the absolute meaning? Because in normally we would say, in normal translations, we would say, if we take this sentence, imasmin sati idang hoti. Idang hoti is this exists. This exists. This is called idang hoti. When does it exist? When another reality exists. Imasmin sati. If you take the imasmin sati as A, idang hoti as B, B exists while A is existing. This is how we translate. So normally it seems like an absolute meaning. But traditionally, the commentators explain this phrase, imasmin sati idang hoti, is identical with the second phrase, imassa upada idang upajjati. So imassa upada idang upajjati means, in this phrase, the first main part is idang upajjati. This arises. Idang upajjati, this arises. Something arises, some reality arises. Why something arises? Because of the arising of this. Because of the arising of another reality. So if you take this imasupada as avijja, because of the arising of avijja, idang upajjati, sankharas arises. So we can see the causal relationship here. So the commentators say imasmin sati idang hoti is identical with the imasupada idang upajjati. So therefore, this imasmin sati, even though we translate it normally as the absolute, traditional point of view, they go it for the causal relationship. Because of this, this arises. For that is why I gave a different explanation on in the notes, absolute and cause. So when we want to say the cause, we can use locative, genitive, ablative, instrumental, accusative, and locative. So in this case, imasmin sati idang upajjati, imasmin sati idang hoti means is the causal meaning in the locative sense. It's not an absolute actually, but normally in the general sense, we translate with an absolute, with absolute meaning. When this is there, it exists. But actually in Dhamma point of view, the commentators are very strict on that. They say it's the meaning of cause, not the meaning of absolute. So it's an advanced grammatical issue which I discussed. Anyway, the thing that we should focus here is that this sentence says idang hoti, it exists because of this, and the second sentence idang upajjati, it arises because of the arising of this, right? So that I think most of you understand this formula. It's grammatically little bit complicated. Don't worry about that. We'll proceed because the first 3 suttas have this kind of a format. So yadidang, so it explains. Now yadidang says what it is. Now it explains further this how to say this formula, which was explained in a brief way, is further explained. The word yadidang. So normally we translate is as that which is this. So it's like what does it mean in other words? So you can see in the vocabulary, it has few translations. So then the next point, the grammatical point that I want to emphasize is when we use the word yadidang. When we use the word yadidang, now we have two parts. Imasmin sati idang hoti, imasuppada idang hoti, idang upajjati, yadidang avijja pacca sankha. This word yadidang, this word also makes the sentence into 2 parts. So sometimes in the first part, the nouns have a different kind of a gender. After yadidang, the nouns may be used in a different gender. For example, you can see this in our contemplation of the four requisites. So like what I want to say is sometimes the adjectives that are used before and after yadidang can have different genders, right? So this yadidang is also a very important juncture in a sentence. So I'm not going to explain it very detailedly. We'll go to the formula. Avijja paccaya sankhara. So here the main noun is the second noun which arises. Sankhara arises because of the cause of avijja. Avijja paccaya is the cause of avijja. Here we use the ablative case. Because of the cause of avijja, sankhara arises. Then vijnana arises because of the cause of sankhara. Then namarupa arises because of the cause of vijnana. So if you look in all these formulas, the second word is written in nominative case. Sankhara is the nominative plural, masculine gender nominative plural. Vijnanam is neuter gender nominative singular. Namarupam also neuter gender nominative singular. So likewise, the second noun is written in the nominative case according to its gender. The first noun ends with the ablative case because ablative case can be used to denote the cause. Cause can be denoted by ablative, instrumental, accusative, and locative. So here ablative case is being used. So normally we translate this: sankhara arises because of the cause of avijja. Vijnana arises due to the cause of sankhara. So likewise, we can understand the entire formula. Jati paccaya jara maranam. Jara marana occurs because of the cause of jati. Then soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti. Sambhavanti means they also arise, they also exist, they also happen to occur, happens. What are these? Soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa also, right? So this is a there are many nouns combined together. Soka, sorrow, parideva is lamentation, dukkha is bodily suffering, domanasa is the mental suffering, then upayasa is, we call it despair, right? Despair. So the very strong dosa we get when we lose something. So all are connected as one noun. Then it was written in nominative plural. Nominative plural. All these occurs because of jati, right? Then we have evametassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti. So this has a very important grammatical rule. I'll be explaining this grammatical rule in another sutta because I want the students to translate. So evametassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti. So here normally we translate evang etassa. Evang is thus. Etassa. This is how we divide it. Evang etassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa samudayo hoti. So here kevalassa is translated, it refers to dukkha khandassa. Etassa kevalassa dukkha khandassa. The idea is this is only a suffering. Like this is nothing else. No self, no happiness. Kevalassa dukkha khandassa. It's like entirely this is only a suffering. Kevalassa dukkhassa. So dukkha khandassa means the aggregates of suffering, a mass of suffering. On the kevalassa gives the idea that it's just a mass of suffering, nothing else. It's something full of suffering. So that is what this kevalassa idea gives. Sometimes the kevalassa can have a meaning of entirely. And sometimes kevalassa can have the meaning of entirely. So here we translate it as the idea that I want to emphasize is only a suffering arises, nothing else. It's like there is no happiness in this continuation of samsara, no self traveling from life to life, only a bunch of a mass of suffering is arising in this manner. Right? So this is the translate the Gatha for the first few weeks because it makes the students more complicated. Even now, for some students, this can be too much. So we'll go through the sutta quickly. I'll just give a quick translation of the sutta. Then we'll ask students to translate. So evam me sutam we normally translate thus I have heard. Ekan samayam bhagava uruvelayang viharati najja neranjaraya tire bodhirukka mule patamavi sambuddho. So here viharati is the verb. So the Buddha was dwelling. Buddha is dwelling in under the near the foot of the Bodhi tree in the bank of Neranjara in the village of bank of the river Neranjara in the village of Uruvela. Ekan samayang was once upon a time. This is the accusative of time. Then Tenako Pana Samayena, during that time, this is the instrumental time. Time is used in instrumental case. Bhagava sattahang ekapallang kena nisinno hoti vimutti sukha patisangvedi. The Blessed One was living, Blessed One was sitting in a one cross-leg posture for the entire 7 days. So sattahang shows that the action was continuous throughout the entire 7 days. Vimutti sukha patisangvedi, experiencing the bliss of the liberation. In the previous sentence, we had Patamavi Sambuddho having enlightened for the having enlightened first. He was the first to get enlightened. Then Atako Bhagava Tassa Sattahassa Achena Tamha Samadhimha Vuttahitva Pratya Patamang Yamang Patita Samuppadang Anulomang Sadhukam Manasa Akasi. So then the Blessed One Achena Sattahassa Achena, after passing away of those 7 days. Achena, we have the genitive case used. Then Tamha Samadhimha Vuttahitva, having stood up from the Samadhi, because this is a gerund. Then Pratya Patamang Yamang Patita Samuppadang Anulomang Sadhukang Manasa Kasi. So he contemplated well Sadhukang, what the Anulomang Patita Samuppada. The Patita Samuppada which was in the ordinary order during the Pratya Patamang Yamang. Patamang Yamang is the accusative time. Patamang Yamang of the night, Ratya, genitive case. So he contemplated Patisampada during that first watch. So in this sentence is divided into 2 parts, Vuttahitva and Manasa Kasi. Then iti imasming sati idang hoti, imasupada idang upajjati. They are identical meanings. So thus iti imasming sati idang hoti. We don't, traditionally we translate it as in the sense of meaning, not the sense of absolute. So because of this, this exists. Because of this exists. Sati here is not mindfulness. It is the locative case of Santa. Then imasupada idang upajjati. Because of the arising of this arises. Then we come to Yadidang. It explains further. Avidya Pachya Sankara, Sankara Pachya Vijnana. It means Sankara arises due to the cause of Avidya, Vijnana arises due to the cause of Sankara, and so forth. And finally, we get Soka Parideva Dukkha Domano Supayasa Sambhavanti. This sorrow, lamentation, and so forth also arises. Then Evametasa Kevalasa Dukkha Kandasa Samudayo Hoti. This is the Samudaya is origin of the suffering, which is a origin of the suffering, nothing other than that. It's only suffering. That is how the meaning to be conveyed. It's difficult to me to put it into English. If someone can do it, please help. So the idea is this is the origin of the suffering. So Kevalasa means it's only a suffering, nothing other than the suffering, not a self, not a happiness, something like that. So this is how we translate. Yeah, if you can ask questions, 1 or 2 questions before we give chance to translate the 2 suttas to some students. Yes. If someone needs to. Yes.
Bhante, may I ask some questions?
Yes.
Like Bhante, so Bhante mentioned about the iti must mean sati idang hoti, like it's like the construction is absolute, but usually according to the commentary, it's like causal, Bhante. So
actually, just I want to interrupt. It's not the construction is absolute. Normally, it is translated in the absolute meaning in English. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay, Bhante. So
because causal meaning also has the locative case can also denote the cause.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Yeah. So is it allowable to translate it as absolute, Bhante?
Absolute, you mean?
Yes. So is it still allowable to translate it as absolute, Bhante? what Bhante
It's
thinks?
like this. I'm not very sure about this. Now, in English, I would like to listen to someone's comment on this. In English, we say when this exists, other exists. So if the idea of when A exists, B exists, if the idea of when can give a causal meaning, then you can translate.
Oh, okay, Bhante.
If that's personally what I feel, but I'm
Okay,
not,
Bhante.
I don't know whether such idea. How about Dr. Ryan? Is it possible to give such a meaning?
Sometimes, Bhante, but not always, Bhante.
Not always, right?
Yes, not always.
So the important thing is that the word has to have the causal meaning, Bhante.
Commentary strictly mentions that this is the causal meaning.
Okay, Bhante.
Because of this happened. Because this is paticca samuppada, cause and
Okay.
effect.
Okay, Bhante. And about the iti in front of this one is Bhante. Is it not
Yeah.
translated, Bhante?
Normally it's translated thus.
Oh, does. Okay, Bhante.
Yeah.
But it can also mean like the quotation, right, Bhante?
That is when it comes after the quotation. Like you say something in Pāļi, like speaking language, at the end if you quote iti, that is normally the quotation because this comes in the beginning, right?
Okay, Bhante. So
Yeah. So
this
normally
iti
we don't say the quotation if it comes in the beginning.
So if it's like this, it only simply means does, Bhante.
Evang.
Oh, so
Evang
ewang and iti is same, Bhante.
in this sentence, in this context.
In this context, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not
Bhante.
always, right?
And then Bhante, I would like to ask a little bit about the absolute, Bhante.
Okay.
So from what I've learned from A.K. Warder's book, Bhante, like the way to construct the absolute is from the pronoun plus participle, either in genitive or locative case, Bhante.
Yes, yes.
So that is what, as far as I've learned until now, the one that is teach in Warder, Bhante. But from today's class, that I just aware that there are so many other cases, the accusative, nominative, and ablative, Bhante. So is that way of construction also apply for the other three cases, Bhante, aside from locative and genitive?
You mean the construction changing the adjective? Yeah, yes, yes.
The pronoun plus the participle, Bhante.
Yes, that's how same.
Oh,
The
same,
formation
Bhante.
is same. Yeah, only thing is the case ending can change.
And then is there any way, Bhante, that we can know that, oh, this is absolute, Bhante. It's not a normal nominative or accusative like that, Bhante.
That is based on the, you understand the context. There is no
Bhante.
other way. Like you have to read and understand. If that is really confusing in suttas, the commentary would explain which meaning to be taken.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why a
Bhante.
commentary is there. So when a student get a confusion, this is absolute, this is causal, and so forth.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you so much, Bhante.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Bhante.
Hello, Dr. Ram.
This is like a follow-up question. So, so as you said that for cause, the cause can be written in locative, absolute, ablative, instrumental, and accusative.
Yes.
Okay. So, my question is about the locative. So, is it like in the normal locative, or does it have to be in the form of the locative absolute? For example, in this case, it's imasmin sati is the construction, this locative absolute construction. It's not just the normal locative. Like for example, in the imasubada, that one is in the normal ablative. So when we say that the cause can be written in the locative, does it mean that it's just the normal locative? For example, can we say imasubadasmin? Can we say that to mean a cause?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Very good question. Yes, this construction is the absolute construction. You are correct. But when you say the locative meaning in the causal meaning, it is not necessarily to be the absolute construction. Like for example, this meaning of locative sometimes appears in the normal locative. For example, it has two meanings. Normally, this locative reason of locative reason is given as nimitta in Pāli. Nimitta is because of something, some leopards for the sake of skin. Right. So this is also written in locative case, but that is also one part of reason. So as you said, it's not necessarily that this absolute construction. It's that locative
absolute construction.
Yeah, it's not necessarily.
Okay,
not necessarily.
Thank you, Bhante.
So thank you for that question.
Oh, so Bhante, I have the question in the same place. You said in the commentary it mentions as the reason. So where the commentary mentions, I couldn't find that point.
You are referring to the commentary, right?
Yes. You say the commentary just mentioned imasmi avijjadige pajaye sati itang sankhara dikang palang hodi, just like this. There are no other explanation.
No. You have to go to the next paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So here it says, I think, sorry. This is not directly means not mentioned in, it has its long explanation, Siali. So if you read the entire explanation, you find what I mean. Like if we go into that explanation, it will cost time. Next time I'll give you exactly what is explained, because it's a very long
Okay.
Very long explanation is given. So I understand what you mean. Like in the first sentence, it just gives imasmin sati. Yeah. Imasmin avijjadike pache sati idan sankaradikam palang hoti. That is the most normal explanation given in the first line, right?
Yes.
So if you go to the next page and starts to read the entire thing, then there is a very long explanation given. In this explanation, you find that this meaning is equal to the meaning of cause, right? This is meaning of cause. It's a very long explanation given, right?
So I will read it by myself.
If you are interested, if interested, we can have a discussion later on that.
Okay, Bhante, I have another question regarding the absolute construction. You mentioned that when we get confusion, then we can go to commentary and look at what the commentary would say. But let's in case if the commentary mention absolute, is there a Pāli word for the word?
Yeah, Bhava Lakkana. It's the Bhava Lakkana. I write it on the board. Yes.
Thank you, Bhante. Please write out. I will let you know.
Absolute is written as Bhava Lakkana.
Thank you.
Dot 10, huh? Bhava Lakkana. Sorry. So I think, shall we go for the translation? If any student is interested. To translate, because thing is, I'd like students to do the translations more. The purpose of this is to make the students be familiar with the translation to get the confidence. So, is any volunteer? So, Sally, can you start do a translation? The second sutra.
Second sutra, Dutiya body. Okay.
Yeah, Dutiya Bodhisattva.
Okay. Just translate the.
It's better if you can read the first sentence, read the Pāli sentence and try to translate.
Only the first paragraph, right?
You can translate the entire sutta is okay because it's a very short one.
Okay. Evam me sudang ekam samayam bhagava unu vedayam viharati naja niranjaraya dire bodhirukhamune pathama sambuddho tena khopana samayena bhagava sattahang ekapanangena nisino hoti vimudi sukha parisangvedi athako bhagava tassa saddahasa ajayena dhamma samadhima uthahitawa ratiya majjima yama patija samupadang patinomang sadukang manas sagasi. At one, this have I heard. Ekam samayang at one time, Bhagava Unu Venayam Viharati Raja Niranjaraya Tire Bodhi Rukhamune. The Bhagava was dwelling at the foot of the Bodhi tree near the bank of Niranjara in the Virvara village.
Uruvela.
Patama Sambuddho, having experienced. No, not having experience. Having enlightened first. Tena Kobana Samayena, at that time, Bhagava Saddahang Panangina Nisino Hodi, the blessed one was sitting within one cross-leg posture for entirely 7 days. Vimudi Sukha Padisamvedi he was experiencing the bliss of liberation. Atako then Bhagavata Satahasa Ajayena. The blessed one, and not the blessed one here, just to translate Satahasa Ajayena first, right?
Yeah, okay. It doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay. Let me think about that. Having left 7 days.
After the elapsing of 7 days.
Okay. Bhagavadhamma Samadhi.
You can just translate after 7 days. It's no problem.
Okay. After 7 days, having emerged from that samadhi, Ratiya Majjima Yama Padija Samubada Padiloma Sadukam Manasagasi. He was contemplated well in the Padija Samubada in the reversed order. In the middle watch of the right.
Yeah, middle watch of the night, yes.
Okay. Idi imasmi asadi idang hodi. So because there is no existence, idang na hodi. There is no. This translation is very strange.
Because of how to say?
Asadi.
It must mean asati.
When there is no
absence. When at the absence of this, you can translate like that. At the absence of this.
Okay. Because of absence of this,
yeah.
There is no that dharma.
Yeah.
Imasa nirodha idang nirujati. Because the sensation of that dharma, this eradicated.
Okay, this vanishes, really eradicates.
Okay. Yadidang, namely, avijja nirodha sankhara nirodho. Because of avijja, there is sankhara. Sankhara nirodho vijnana nirodho.
No. Avijja nirodha sankhara nirodho. So here, nirodha means...
Sorry. Because of sensation of avijja, there is sensation of sankhara. Sankhara
Cessation of
Nirodha.
sankhara, yes.
Yeah.
Because this sankhara nirodha is a one word.
Yeah.
Right. It's nominative case. Sankhara nirodha.
Yeah.
Right.
Sankhara Nirodha, Vijnana
Cessation of
Nirodha.
sankhara.
Because of a sensation of sankhara, the Vijnana, there is a sensation of Vijnana. Vijnana Nirodha, Samarupa Nirodha. Because of a sensation of Vijnana, there is sensation of Nama Rupa. So this Nama Rupa, this no need to translate it into English now.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
Okay. Nama Rupa Nirodha, Sanayadana Nirodha. Because of sensation of Nama Rupa, there is sensation of Sanayadana. Sanayadana Nirodha, Phassa Nirodha. Because of sensation of Sanayadana, there is sensation of Phassa. Phassa Nirodha, Vedana Nirodha. Because of sensation of Phassa, there is sensation of Vedana. Vedana Nirodha, Dana Nirodha. Because of sensation of Vedana, there is sensation of Dana. Dana Nirodha, Upadana Nirodha. Because of sensation of Dana, there is a sensation of Upadana. Upadana Nirodha, Bhava Nirodha. Because of sensation of Upadana, there is sensation of Bhava. Bhava Nirodha, Jadi Nirodha. Because of sensation of Bhava, there is sensation of Jadi. Jadi Nirodha, Jaramana, Soka Pradeva, Dukha Domla, Supayasa, Nirujati. Because of sensation of Jadi, the Jaramana, Soka, there is sensation of Jaramana, Soka Pradeva, Dukha Domla, Supayasa. Is okay?
Okay. Eva Metasa.
Eva Metasa, Kevana. This is the sensation of the mass of suffering.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevalasa means it's only the mass of suffering.
Only the
So
mass of
this
suffering.
Kevalasa, yeah, Kevalasa has two meanings. One is it shows that Kevalasa Dukkha Kandasa means that this is just a suffering, nothing mixed with happiness, nothing mixed with there is no other thing, is only a suffering. The other meaning is the entire suffering. The Kevala have two meanings here. Kevala means only that sometimes, and sometimes it refers to the entire. So you remember in the Mangala Sutta, Jetavanang, Kevala Kappan Jetavanang Obbasitva. Nearly the entire, he was illuminating the entire Jetavana. So Kevala sometimes have the meaning of Sakala. Sakala means entire. So commentary gives two meanings. So this Kevala Dukkha Kandasa means the entire mass of suffering, or a mass of suffering. Asammisa means not mixed with anything. Suffering. Pure means only a mass of suffering. Yeah. So thank you very much, and very nicely translated. Thank you for your translation. Yes. So next sutta also has the same formula. Tomorrow, because I'll be taking the class tomorrow, not this Monday, because I have to attend some work ceremony. So vocabulary and the translation help. So if someone can translate the third sutta, so before concluding the class, it'd be really helpful.
Is the time enough?
Any volunteer?
Because I think it's quite long.
Yes, we have 5 more than, yeah. We have 10 minutes.
Yes, Sayadaw, I would like to try.
You can translate. Okay, please.
Evam me suttam kam samayam bhagava uruvelayam viharati naja niranjaraya tire bodhirukhamule patama visambuto. Evam me suttam, thus have I heard. Ekam samayam, at one time, the Bhagava was staying at the root of the tree in the bank of the river Niranjara in Uruvela, having enlightened first. Tena kopana samayena Bhagava sataham eka palankena isino hoti vimutti sukha patisamvedi. At that time, the Bhagava was sitting or was seated in a single sitting posture for 7 days, experiencing the happiness of liberation. Atako bhagawa tassa satahasa achayena tamma samadhima vuttahitva ratiya pachimam yamam paticha samupadam anuloma patilomam sadukam manasa kasi. Then the Bhagawa, after having emerged from that samadhi after the lapse of 7 days, in the last watch of the night, he contemplated well the ordinary and reverse order of the Paticca-samuppada, or dependent origination. Iti imasmim sati idam hoti. Thus, because this is this exists. Idam samupada idam upajati. Because of the arising of this, this arise. Imasmim asati idam nahoti. Because of the not existence of this, that does not exist. Imasa niroda idam nirujati. Because of the cessation of this, this cease. Yadidam, that is avijja pachaya sankhara. I think hoti also, sankhara sambhavanti should go also here. So no, actually sankhara arises because of the avijja. Can I say like that, Bhante?
Yeah, it's good. You can, you better to connect the sambhavanti at the end of each word. Avijja pachaya sankhara sambhavanti, sankhara pachaya vijnana sambhavati. Right? Good.
Yes, sir. So vijnana consciousness arises because of the cause of sankhara. Nama rupa arises because of the cause of vijnana. Salayatana, the six senses, arises because of the cause of mind and matter. Contact, Salayatana pachaya phaso, contact arises because of the cause of the six senses. Phasa pachaya vedana, feeling arises because of the cause of contact. Vedana pachaya tanha, craving arises because of feeling. Tanha pachaya upadanam, clinging arises because of craving. Upadana pachaya bhavo, becoming arises because of clinging. Bhava pachaya jati, birth arises because of becoming. Jati pachaya jara maranam, sokha parideva dukkha domana supayasa sambhavanti. Old age, sickness, sorrow, lamentation, bodily suffering, mental suffering, and grief arises because of the cause of birth. Evam me tassa kevalasa dukkha kandasa samudayo hoti. Thus, this is the origin of the mere mass of dukkha. Only dukkha without happiness nor self. Okay. Avijjaya toeva asesa viraga niroda sankhara nirodo. Because sankhara ceases. Sankhara ceases. This is nominated case. The cessation of sankhara is
due to
the cessation of ignorance and the entire absence of desire.
Asesa viraga nirodha.
Is that okay? So the asesa
Yeah, so normally, this is a new part that we didn't explain, right? So the commentary says, asesa viraga nirodha means, viraga sankatena maggena asesa nirodho. Asesa means completely, without leaving any remnant. Sesa is there as a remnant. Asesa is there is no remnant. Viraga here refers to the magga, lokuttara magga. Viragena, right? Nirodho. Viragena asesa nirodho. So this is a one kind of a word for little bit of a tricky word formation. So the meaning should be because due to the complete eradication of avijja by the noble path.
Okay.
Right. So viraga refers to the noble path. Asesa refers that there is no remnant. Avijja nirodha is the eradication of yes, so we can translate due to the entire complete eradication of avijja due to magga, the sankhara ceases. The cessation of sankhara happens. So sansara ceases. It doesn't matter. Yeah, as long as you get the idea, it's fine. Right.
Okay, so due to the due to the complete cessation of ignorance by the noble path, sankhara cease, or the cessation of sankhara is due to, and then the sankhara nirodha, vijnana nirodho, the cessation of vijnana is because of the cessation of sankhara. Vijnana nirodha, namarupa nirodho. The cessation of mind and matter is due to the cessation of consciousness. Namarupa nirodha, salayatana nirodho. The six senses, the cessation of the six senses is due to the cessation of mind and matter. Salayatana nirodha, vasa nirodho. The cessation of contact is due to the cessation of the six senses. Vasa nirodha, vijnana nirodho. Cessation of feeling is due to the cessation of contact. Vedana nirodha, tanha nirodho. The cessation of craving is due to the cessation of feeling. Tanha nirodha, upadana nirodho. The cessation of clinging is due to the cessation of craving. Upadana nirodha, bhava nirodha. The cessation of becoming is due to the cessation of clinging. Bhava nirodha, jati nirodha. The cessation of birth is due to the cessation of becoming. Jati nirodha, jara marana soka parideva dukkha domana supayasa nirujanti. Because of the cessation of birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentation, bodily and mentally suffering, and grief ceases. Ewa meta sakevalasa dukkha kandasa nirodho hoti. Thus, this is the cessation of the whole of the mere mass of suffering.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well done. So I hope everyone could get the idea. So the main thing is in this translation, even we are unable to put it completely into fluent English. As long as you get the meaning, that is the main purpose of this course. So yeah, we have completed the 3 suttas translating, leaving apart the gathas. I will come to the gathas later. I will also do these gathas, but after going with some suttas, some texts, when we are familiar with this, I'll be explaining the gathas later. Yeah. So if there is any question, one question.
Bhante, may I ask one more question, Bhante?
Yes.
One simple question, Bhante. Like for idang and etat, Bhante.
Yes.
Are both of these can interchangeably translated as this and that, Bhante?
Yeah, it's another very good question. Normally, idang refers in our tradition, like normally when we study in Sri Lanka, and monks are taught idang is something that is close to you. Then tang is something we call something around you not very close, like something very far. This is how they teach in very, very primary schools for monks.
Okay, Bhante.
So something like that. Etang is something far away. So that is how normally the basic idea. Etang is something far away. But when you go into the text, you find that these three are normally idang is confined to something which is close or something which he has already mentioned. Mention means something very close to his explanation. Then etang and tang can be used for something which is far away and also something he has already mentioned. So etang and tang can be used in all these meanings. Idang, most of the time, idang is mostly confined to something that is close by. Normally, we don't call idang to something which is very far.
But is it occur in some occasion, Bhante? Or
I'm not
like Bhante
sure
said
about that.
But like Bhante said, mostly
tang and etang can be interchanged into all three meanings. There is no problem.
Oh,
Idang
okay,
is mostly seen in the meaning of nearby.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Like Bhante said that mostly idang is confined to thing like close, Bhante. How about the other usage? What are the example, Bhante? How is the usage in the case that is more rare? Yes, that is not.
Idang, for example, when we want to do the confession of a robe, for example, monks, idang chivarang. The chivara is already at your hand. So we have to relinquish it to a monk and you can take it back. So this is we call idang chivara, right? So we call it but if the robe is at your room, we normally say etang chivara. We don't call it idang chivara.
Oh, okay, Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
So likewise, there's something which is close by, which is in your hand, and also normally if something is within your hand hattapasa, we normally call it idang chivara. But if it is something a bit far away beyond your hand span, we call it etang chivara. So these are the common usages of these words. But it's very difficult to exactly say this is the only meaning that idang is used. What I said was with my experience, this is how it is found normally.
Okay, Bhante. Thank you so much, Bhante.
Hi, Bhante.
Yes, right, Doctor.
I'm sorry, but so did you say that tang is like around, not very close, but etang is far?
Yes.
But I remember in the Pāļi Made Easy, tang means that and etang means this.
Okay. Yes, that's what I mentioned was in our if you go into the primary school that's why I said in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, the monks have the primary school books, right? So in these school books, they normally say you point at a tree and say etang eso ruko. So that is the example given at the primary school. That's why I said in Sri Lanka, in the primary level, this is how they teach. Etang is far away, tang is something not very close, not very far, and tang is very close. But as you said, Dr. Ryan, etang is used to something which is very close by also. So that's why it has a very vast range of meaning. Right. I mentioned in the primary book for the monks in teaching Pāļi, this is how they have given.
I see. Okay. Thanks.
So shall we call it a day then? So thank you for listening, participating. I think some students may have understood the translations. So to conclude the class, my main aim is to the students to get a meaning, able to translate this exactly into another language. It's still okay as long as you can get the meaning, because sometimes as most of the students English is secondary language, so there can be difficulties in putting the Pāļi meanings into English, right? So in a translation, if someone has difficulties in exactly correctly putting it into grammatical terms in English, don't worry about that. As long as you have the sense, that's what is important in this class. And the next thing is, I think some students may have difficulties in understanding this bit advanced Pali. So from Monday onwards in the Viber group, like we did in the last time, I'll be sharing, I'll send it to Seale. Seale will be sharing every day a small story in Pali, a small story which is written in simple Pali for the students who have difficulties in reading advanced books like this. They can also get familiar with their story, like stories about a cat, about a cow. So in simple Pali. So thing is, when you're reading a language, you have to get familiar with the words. That is a big hurdle that we have to jump across. So therefore, this I'll be sending. There is a book written in. It was written in Sinhalese letters. I have already put it into Roman Pali. So these small stories we will share every day. A short one story. It's a very short one, so you can read this and get the familiarity with the Pali. So I'll be sharing it in the Viber group for the students. Any student can read it. It will be useful. It will take only a few minutes for you to read this short story. So every day when we are involved in such Pali activities, automatically your Pali knowledge will get enhanced. So, and also want to remind, if you can have time, please find time to read the vocabulary at least once, which I have shared, and read the grammatical points which are given in the handouts at least one time a day. It may take few minutes. So then when we finish the course in few weeks, you'll be able to understand to some extent the Pali reading. So wish you all the best, and thank you for joining and participating in the class.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante. So
Sadhu,
Bhante,
sadhu,
maybe
sadhu.
you can point out one volunteer for the summary.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
And because we are going to have class on tomorrow morning, right?
Sally can do the volunteer. Is it?
Sorry?
You can do the volunteer then?
Okay, I will do.
Okay then. See you everyone.
All right, thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Sadhu,
See you,
sadhu.
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.